the show is still the weekend show, and this morning we're looking at how albinism made to shine.
And yes, you know, we were talking about, how do I put it? We're talking about Black Lives Matters. And in Nigeria, we're all blacks. Forget the color of your skin or how you've been trying to change the color of your skin. But then we also have people who are whites with us. And honestly, in my own little dark words, I used to ask myself, albinos really, do they really have problems with us? But growing up and having friends who are albinos, I think, yes, some of us don't treat them so well.
Yeah,
that's
so
the truth.
We meant to,
yes.
most of us
we don't treat them as normal.
Yes, even judge them before meeting them. This morning we have a member of the group who also will be talking to us and sharing some personal stories with us, Dr. Uchenna Ozoekwe. He is a medical doctor. Like we've told you, he is also a cognitive behavioral therapist. So he will be sharing some of the concerns of the people in his group with us this morning. We will need to understand who they are. For some of us who have judged them even before we met them, for some of us who have decided that this person is like this, even without having personal contacts with them, we want to see a way to change that understanding this morning. Doc, good morning and welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Doc, Uchenna Ozoekwe. Good, because today is International Albinism Awareness Day. Nke ndị United Nations set aside. Ọ bụrụ na ịghọtara ya na-akọwa, taa anụnwa ka ewepụtara ya iche ka ewere kọwara ndị mmadụ ihe bụ mmadụ ịbụ albino, mmadụ ịbụ anyarị. Ọ bụrụ na ọ na-abụ ịfụ mmadụ isi na onye abụ anyarị, ịmahụ ihe ọ na-agabiga, ịmarọ ka o si, ma ọ bụ na inwe nwa bụ anyarị, ịmarọ ka esi enekọta anya, ịmarọ ihe gbasara ya. Program a bụ nke gị taa anọrọ na buru oche maka onye anyị na ya nọ bụkwu ọ bụrụ sọ na ọ nọ n'otu ha, ọ bụkwu onye na-enekọta ha anya. So Doc, when you say somebody is an albino, isi na onye a bụ anyarị, ka ihe bụ the characteristics, ka ihe ọ ga-abụ ịfụ, maka enwekwa ndị dị ezigbo ọcha ọba ha n'anya mana fa bụrụ anyarị, mana ndị mmadụ na-akpọkwa ha anyarị mana fa bụrụ anyarị. Ka ndị bụ ndị anyarị or albinos, who are albinos?
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Can you mix it up for me?
Yes, of course, of course. I think last week or 2 weeks ago, you know, I'm on with a professor, and later on I was with a nurse. So the professor was like, that I'm not an albino. You know, it was just, I can say, sir, but you are wrong.
Yeah, I said, no.
Yeah, I said, no, it was serious. So, the issue there is abromaka, the complexion. It's about melanin. So, like every person has melanin, but it varies. Now, for, you know, Caucasians, it's less than Africans. So now, when you talk about somebody with albinism, it means that melanin is lacking in the person's skin, hair, and eyes. These three places are very, very important. And as we go on, we now know why. So now, when you now see somebody, see the person is not. In fact, when he was seriously arguing, because you know when I was talking with the professor now, and I tried to show you another person were a nurse, like him, I go, this is somebody now for patients every day. So what are you saying? So these are things, when for somebody to be classified as an albino or somebody with albinism, the person has to have deficiency or now the melanin is not at the person's skin, hair, and eyes is reduced compared to what everybody
other
has.
person. Can you explain what this melanin is and why they absent in those people?
Yes, actually, what happened is melanin is the dark pigments on skin of everybody. Now, because like I said before, Caucasians, their own they less than our own. Now, for us Africans, is more. That's why we are dark, obviously. Now, this thing happens because then we mutation in the gene. The gene then we sequence, like supposing a particular sequence for you to be able to say, okay, this is a protein sequence for you to have melanin. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on where we see it, that of the person with albinism anyway a defect in one of the genes, the one that codes for tyrosine, which is supposed to be tyrosinase, which is supposed to help in production of melanin.
Okay.
That's where the issue is. Now, because of the way it happens, when this phenotype and genotype, like when you see them, like their hair is white, like their body is white, like everything is white, like virtually white. When they go for their own, go the hair now chattel down, brown, just kind of not so dark, so in different shades and all that. So I don't want to go into the genetics of the auto, but at least this is just to tell an anyway variance in the world, in everybody's body. So, the most important is that defect, that genetic defect. So now you cannot say that albinism is a disease. You can call it a medical condition, because anybody with albinism maybe is not able to, like maybe person is not deficient in maybe let's say normal thing everybody should do, like you are eating or your ability to eat, you walk around, do your normal activities. The only thing is just that defect now leads to serious challenges, like for example, the person has to be careful with his skin or eyes and all that. That is basically the main issue. Every other thing as a human being is okay. Yes.
Most times, I won't lie, I have a friend, my colleague. Yeah. So most times we see albinos as the
less intelligent and all those.
No. I don't think I've ever seen
several
them.
People will tell you this person is not like every other person will be.
I think we have always I used to have them in my primary school, secondary school. Even the teachers treat them like they are not strong. They are weak. Now, from what you're saying, it's just a skin disorder. But we also have, we have the sickle cell anemia, which is a blood disorder. Now, apart from the skin, are they as strong as normal people?
Yes, of course. The only thing there is that human beings with different skin types, I understand. So many times, if somebody on the skin they oily or combination or sensitive, depending on the kind of skin the person with. Now, for people with albinism, their skin is sensitive to sunlight. In fact, ultraviolet rays, not just sunlight, but ultraviolet rays, so that it's not about maybe I want the now. Say, oh, okay, I want the now. Even if sometimes I want after I go to maybe everywhere they are hot, like you just feel it, but no sun everywhere is. Those things all ultraviolet rays. That's why you feel them. Now it's not about the sunlight. Now I remember when I was during my first degree, I had this lady. She's an albino. Then she was also a medical doctor. As of now, she's a medical doctor. Then she was still a medical student. This lady, every time she's on her umbrella, like, the sun is not out now, yet she's on umbrella. Like, it didn't make sense then to me. And later on, I now spoke with her. I said, what's your? So it was through her explanation now, Kanji, actually then, because I was still fresh into medical school. So I was like, okay, this is it. And I started investigating, reading and all that. So that was it. By the time I finished and everything, at least, she was already done with them. She finished BBS, then did her master's. So she's doing well wherever she is, I guess. So.
This question is in as you just said something very important when we talk about this issue, because some of us grew up in an environment where we have perceptions. In fact, most people do.
Of course.
And now, for you to say that even as being a member of this group, it took you time also to study to understand this person's peculiarities, to see the differences there. Lessons, life lessons that you've experienced in life that should be a message to us to understand albinos better.
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting. You see, I'm a second generation medical doctor because my father is a medical doctor.
Okay.
So I virtually lived in the hospital all my life. Even at that, there were some things. Okay, I remember when I was growing up, my mom would tell me, okay, if you don't wear your glasses, that you get blind, all those days, I knew that, I grew up with that fear, but later on, knowledge, and I realized that I wouldn't get blind even if I don't wear my glasses.
Okay.
That is the truth, because the melanin doesn't, you don't produce it as you grow older. It just stops there. So any limitation or deficiency at that point in time, you just continue growing with it. So now, because of that, you are not able to, you have issue with focus. You have issue with, seeing far distance and all that. So this thing, the very, good I pointed this out because it's not just about having sight issue.
Okay.
It's just to understand what caused the sight issue.
Okay.
Like for me now, my own is like the part of my eye that enables me to see far distance is not properly developed.
Okay.
That is for my own. Okay. Now, I have a brother who has albinism too.
Okay.
His own is different. His own is even tending towards astigmatism. So he doesn't need to wear the kind of glasses I wear. His own is even different. You understand? So now, part of the lessons I've learned about this is it's very important to be knowledgeable about these things. Being in medical school or having gone through medical school is still not enough because there were some conditions that when we are studying, we're just studying, okay, keep going, okay, pass the exam. And so later on, if you have special interest in something, then you now go deep into it to know. And that was how I now developed interest in it.
But for people who might not, like those of us who don't have any interest in medical school.
Yes. So now, in that case, what happened is that I now use the opportunity to tell people about it in my own little way. 2 years ago, I did, during the International Albinism Day 2018, I did an advocacy around Imo State area because that's where I live. So that place, I had to go to secondary schools, primary schools, even some hospitals, especially rural areas. Some of the nurses are not properly educated on these things because going by the questions they asked me that day, some of them were like, okay, a man married a woman, and then the woman had a child with albinism, and then the man showed the woman. No, serious, this is a true life story. And then there's even another one in Makodi about the man that whether he even killed the woman or so because she gave birth to somebody with albinism, that they don't have this kind of thing in their family. So the thing there is that how does this thing actually occur? Why would it be that somebody like you can marry somebody that is very, 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 very dark and yet among somebody with albinism? It's because this thing is a recessive gene.
Okay.
So we came for 100, 200 years. Nobody knows about it. Nobody even knows it exists until the man bear with care, the woman bear with care. Then the thing just comes and reflects and manifests. When we call now, when we call 1, 2. I know of a family now, I'm 4. I know one that have 3. Just like that.
Yes, I also know a similar story like that. A family, Hannah Bodioji, they have 4 actually, and then 2 other people, they were dark. I think this understanding will also help us to deal with these issues. But we would like to go to the street because people reacted. We asked them questions about how they see people with albinism, and they will now show you that vox pop from the street. Now, when we come back, we'll still ask more questions before we go.
Equal with others. It's just the color of his skin. Nobody chose how they should look. God created them the way they look, and the discrimination they usually get, especially the ladies before they get married. You find men who want to get married to them being discouraged. It's not really very good, and it makes them disassociate themselves from the society or not to be involved in everything that is going on. So they should be helped. Let's see them as equal. And again, people that say that they smell or they have a certain odor, these are the things we shouldn't be saying openly to people. If you know their shortcoming, you should inculcate them and help them feel better. From their family, their parents should kind of give them words that should encourage them, boost their self-esteem most importantly, because if your confidence level is very low, it will affect virtually everything that you do. You don't even have to look at what people say about you at some point. So their parents, their family, which is the basic form of socialization, should help them so that they can grow beyond what people will say about them.
Albinos, they are normal people, just like you and I. The only difference there is just their skin color. That's the only thing. They are just like every other person. They should feel like they should be comfortable in their skin because they are just like every other person. There is no need to feel bad about being an albino or having a white skin or not being able to, because some of them, they can't really see very well. They should just be comfortable in their skin because they are unique because of that.
I'm afraid of getting married to such person because of that nature. Ọ bụrụ ndị Igbo asị na onye aka ha aka, ị na-enye onye ahụ anya, onye a dịka onye na-akara aka mana onye aka aka. So that's the only thing I see about them. But actually they are human beings like us. Bible says we should love our neighbors as ourselves. I love them. We are human beings.
You might have needed to hear what we were sharing behind the cameras, but we'll tell you. We'll just focus. Yes.
As on the street said, "Manu fafa karaka." That was exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
So, Doc, biko, achomke kawalanyi. Iko waka mmadụ si we na ya funa nwunye ya mụrụ anyarị we chụpụ ya n'ụlọ. So my question is, if peradventure nwanyị no onwe anya ma di na nwunye no onwe ha anya we funa nwa ha bụ anyarị, what are the precautionary measures to take in order to ensure that that child is properly taken care of? Maka, sometimes you see an albino with black things on the skin, and then you still see another albino. They put them mother So what can we really do to take care of albinos?
Okay, number one of the albino's greatest enemy is sunlight. That's ultraviolet rays of the sun. So they should limit it as much as possible, no matter the reason. Because when you look at people, because of the economic situation of the country, they want to tell them to go about carrying food and all those things. I've seen a lot of. In fact, there was one young girl I met. She told me that, and I said, "Why are you doing this?" So just a few days earlier than that, so she was selling granite. I just had to tell her, "Peg, go." I bought the whole granite. Tell them, "Okay, share to everybody. Go back home." Because if you don't do that, sunlight will lead to development of those black spots, freckles, and then they will lead to melanoma.
What's melanoma?
And melanoma is a cancer of the skin. But this particular cancer is very, 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 very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And other cancer, about 3 of them, squamous cell carcinoma. But this particular one is very, very dangerous.
And is it predominant in our part of the world here?
It's actually, the only way it actually comes is because of exposure to sunlight. And the black skin, with protection already. So because that person is already with the series of reactions that happen when sunlight hits your body now. So those things help to protect you. Only albino because that melanin, enough melanin to do that, the person now faces those risks and start having all those black spots.
Because I want you to answer, because of time, I want you to answer this question in 30 seconds, if possible. I know that maybe as a medical doctor, I'm going to undermine Nagi before because you are an albino by patients.
Yeah.
I want you to advise a young person, maybe an albino, albino that is watching now, what they should do in such situations. In 30 seconds.
Okay, all right. Avoid sunlight, wear protective clothing. If possible, you can look for a cream that has some protective factor of at least 50. At least 50. Yeah. Many times you can use less, but it's better to use at least 50. Then also limit exposure. External, go out, go there. Just try to make sure you limit exposure if you have to go out. Now, you can also use umbrella if you want. Some people don't like it. It doesn't look fashionable. But you can still use face cap. But me, I prefer umbrella if you don't drive. Umbrella is nice. And then use those creams. I think that's enough.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Uchenna Ozoekwe, medical doctor, and he is a cognitive behavioral therapist and a physiotherapist. He joined us this morning to look at albinism made to shine. It's been an excellent one having you right here in the studio. We'll now take you over for our news at 8. Stay with us.